welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittney Bundles, and today's video is going to go over some ways that you can make sure that you're not getting too stressed out running a business. So before we get into this video, be sure that you give me a big thumbs up. Make sure that you are subscribed. Also, make sure that you click that bell right by the subscribe button to make sure that your post notifications are on. So every time I drop a video, you will be notified. And let's get right into the video. All right, guys. So when you're running a business, pretty much with life in general, you don't even have to run a business to be stressed out. I mean, life is stressful. And then when you start adding things to life, like, different jobs or businesses or just responsibilities in general, it can definitely start to seem that you're getting too stressed out. And so some of the things that I've learned along my business journey, as far as, helping me reduce some of my stress, I'm going to be sharing those tips with you guys. So the first thing that I want to go over is make realistic goals. So when you're starting a new business or, when you're running an existing business, whatever stage you're in, you can start to feel overwhelmed, like I mentioned. And so what you want to do is make sure that you're making realistic goals. Although it's great to make big goals because, I definitely have big goals. I have big dreams, and I just, I lead on faith. You know what I mean? So I definitely understand having big goals, but you want to make sure along with those big goals that you have a roadmap. So make a roadmap that's going to lead you to your goals, And so what I mean by, instead of just waking up saying, I'm going to have 100,000 in sales by next month. That's a huge goal, right? So what we want to do is make a roadmap. Okay, how are you going to position yourself every day to make sure that by the end of this month, you have your 100,000 in sales? You know what I mean? So things like that. So what I'm saying is look at where you're currently at. Take into consideration how many customers you currently have, how much inventory you have, how much cash flow you have, how much spending power for your business you're able to spend at this point, and your marketing, and, take a look back at your analytics on your company, where you're at, and make a roadmap realistically based on where you're at and, the money that you have available and the resources that you have, and make a goal off of that, if that makes sense. I'll make a more in-depth video on how you can, really look at your analytics and make tailored goals for yourself and your business. But that would be my first tip, to really make goals, because if you're making goals that have no roadmaps or have no plans on how you're going to achieve them, if you don't get them, it's another way for you to become stressed out and discouraged. And definitely don't want you to become discouraged. I don't want you to be stressed out. But I do want to make sure that we're all making, realistic goals with an actual roadmap to get there. Number 2, pace yourself. So when I first started Btalks here, I just wanted to, just get everything done. I wanted to just be at the finish line like the first day I started. I already wanted to just be successful that day, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as I've worked with Btalks here, as I've grown with, my experience in my business, I've learned that you do have to pace yourself. So along with making goals, you have to realize that everything's going to come in due time, and you have to pace yourself enough to know that, I'm working toward this goal. And not to rush everything. For me, I'm someone that just likes to jump into things, like I mentioned. If I'm really passionate about something, I go for it. And I definitely, encourage anyone that thinks like me and feels like me to, do what you feel in your heart, because that's what I do. But at the same time, I still pace myself. So everyone's pace is going to be different. I may move faster than, somebody else. I may move slower than someone else, but it's my pace. So figure out what works best for you, what your pace is, and what I mean by that is if you have, 10 emails, that you're needing to respond back to, figure out, am I going to be able to respond back to all 10 of these emails today? If not, that's fine. Find your pace. Okay, I probably can respond back to these emails within 1 to 3 days. So make sure that you put that on your email response, your automatic response. So when anyone sends you an email, it automatically tells them, please, be patient. I'm going to get to you guys within 1 to 3 business days or something like that. So make sure that you're setting a pace so that you're not getting overwhelmed and that you're not getting stressed out. Because let me tell you, when you see, 20 emails here within an hour and 5 different messages within that hour on your cell phone, and then you have chats going and you have DMs and you have comments, it can definitely get overwhelming. So what I do is I definitely pace myself. I make sure that I answer everyone and get to everyone, because that definitely is important, but it's also important to make sure that I don't overextend myself. So just make sure that you're pacing yourself, becoming more organized. So along with pacing yourself, you want to make sure that you become organized, because it's going to make your life so much more easier and stress-free. So that means, you know, in my home office, I have my shipping material in one place. I have my hair bags in another place. I have my, you know, different goals in another place. I separate things so that it's easy for me to go into the office and just like relax and get things done. I have my lighting equipment for, you know, the videos in a certain place, and, you know, just different things are in certain places. Now, when I first started Bad Chick Hair, you guys, I'm not someone that's very, very organized, or at least I wasn't very organized. I'm kind of like a person that likes to just keep a lot of things. I keep a lot of papers. I just keep a lot of things, you know, because my mentality is you never know what you're going to need. And so I had to learn how to become more organized, because one thing that would stress me out is trying to, you know, get something done and then you don't know where the items are to help you get it done. You know, I may need to print out some receipts, but I don't know where I put my new ink at. Or I may need to package up some hair, but I don't know if I left the packages at the shop or if they're in my home office. You know what I mean? So just me becoming more organized, finding places for everything to go really helped me become, you know, more organized and less stressed. So make sure that you do become organized. Again, you know, it doesn't have to be to anyone else's liking, but just make sure that you know where everything is at and that it looks looks appealing to the eyes, so that when you go into the office, it just makes you feel a lot more, you know, calm. And it just makes you feel like you can go in there and just get work done, instead of going in there and getting sidetracked because, you know, you have pizza from the other night sitting here, or you may have your kids' toys over here. You know what I mean? Like, just make sure that you are becoming organized. Now, also, along with becoming physically organized, you also want to make sure that you're organized with your processes and procedures. So you want to make sure that you're, you know, with your processes and procedures. So, you know, how are things going to go if you need to send out hair? Like, what is your routine for sending out hair every day? If you can't do it, are you going to be able to teach someone else how to quickly do it? What's your, you know, routine for printing out labels? You know, what type of ink are you going to use? What type of paper are you going to use? Where are you going to put your paper? You know, what's your procedure for sending out samples? What's your procedure for refunds? You know, just making sure that you have all of that together, even if you have to spend one day just kind of putting all of your procedures on paper, just in case for, you know, any reason you can't do it that day. It's very easy for someone else to step in and be able to take over for you that day. I know you may not think that it'll come to that. You probably are like, you know, every day I can do it, but you never know what happens or what life brings. So there may be a day that you physically cannot get there and package out orders, and you definitely don't want your customers to, you know, suffer or to have to wait any longer than they have to. So I would definitely make sure that my, you know, processes and procedures are somewhere on paper, and that I'm organized enough to be able to explain to someone else how to carry through this task if I'm not available that day. Also, my next tip is make sure that you're being picky on what you allow to bother you. You know, so much of our stress comes from our thinking. You know, it starts internally, and it depends on what we allow ourselves to be stressed out about. You know, I'm still training myself on what to get upset about, what to get frustrated about, what to get annoyed with, what to get stressed out about. And it's something, like I always mention, that you have to actually train your mind. You know, our minds are very, very powerful. And sometimes, you know, for me, you know, you kind of take how powerful your mind is for granted. And a lot of the things that we get stressed out about is something, you know, things that we can actually look at in a different light, you know. So instead of looking and saying, oh my gosh, I have all of this hair to package, you can look at it and say, you know, thank God I have this hair to package. You know, my business is actually speeding up. You know, I'm more organized. So when I go in there to package up the hair, I know where everything is at. I'm pacing myself so my customers already know what to expect as far as the shipping time frame, and, you know, what to expect as far as when they order their hair from me, what comes next, and, you know, just things like that. So make sure that you are just being picky on what you allow to make you stressed out, because some things that we get stressed out about, we don't really need to be stressed out about, and they're actually blessings. So I would just work on, you know, transforming your mentality as well, because I'm working on mine too. Just working on, like I mentioned, what's going to make you mad or stressed out, and what you really don't even need to give energy to. My last tip is know when to take breaks, treat yourself, and to take vacations. You know, you guys, for me, this is something that I've struggled with too, because I really don't take a lot of vacations. I really don't do a lot of things that kind of just like gets my mind off of working. I'm always working, whether it be responding to an email, whether it be filming a video, whether it be sending out hair, you know, whether it be coming up with different processes or working on things that I haven't even announced yet. You know, I'm always doing something, and it's because I really, really love what I do. I love working, you know, with Bad Chick Hair. I love everything about the business, you know. Even my downfalls, I still love learning along the way. So it's really hard if you're really like vested to something to take a break, especially if you're someone that really, really likes working. Like for me, if it's something I'm passionate about, I like working, like doing it. So in a way, it doesn't even seem like work. So on the other hand of that, I still want to make sure that I'm balanced enough to spend time with my family, spend time, you know, by myself, spend time actually just relaxing and not working at all. So with that being said, one of the things that helps me, you know, not become too stressed out is taking vacations. It doesn't matter if you just go, I know I live in a city that's not too far from like Detroit. It's not too far from Grand Rapids, and it's not too far from Chicago. So even if that means I just take a trip to Chicago, or even if that means I just take a trip to like Grand Rapids, or, you know, some place that's kind of close, but, you know, still outside of my city, I will do that just because it gives me a time to just relax. And although I still may be working, even though the whole point is not to work. And when I say working, I mean I may be responding back to an email or answering a phone call or something like that. It's still a different scenery. You know what I mean? It just feels like a breath of fresh air. So give yourself breaks. And then also, you don't even have to go out of your city to give yourself a break. You can choose a night to just say, you know what, tonight I'm not responding to anything. And because I've already set the right expectations with my customers to expect a response within 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 business days, you know, no one's going to be upset. So right before you decide to take your break, you know, make sure that you brush up and touch base with everyone that's asked a question up to that point, and then just turn off your phone for the night. You know what I mean? Just give yourself time to relax, because you can overwork yourself too much. And sometimes there would be nights where I didn't go to sleep. There would be nights where I didn't eat just because I was so focused on working, and that can start to have a negative toll on your physical health, you know what I mean, and your mental health. So you want to make sure that you're always in the best state, period, healthy wise, mentally wise, because when you are taking care of yourself, you're able to be your best. And, you know, that's definitely what we need when running a business. So take a break, take vacations, treat yourself, keep yourself motivated. So I hope these things really help. These are some tips that I use personally to make sure that I'm not too stressed out. If you guys have any questions, like always, please leave them down in the comments below. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.